G'day! In today's video I'm going to be doing a screen replacement on a Motorola G5 Plus. Now this one's been sitting on my blue heat pad here at 75 degrees Celsius for about 5 minutes, which makes it the perfect candidate to now open up. Now with this particular model, I'll take out the SIM tray. I don't believe it's necessary, but if I can get it out, I will start there. No, it's disagreeing with me. So what I'm going to do now is use some isopropyl, thin metal pry tool, and I am going to pry off this screen. As this particular model, we go in through the front, not through the back, and let's see how we go. So I do suspect this will come out quite easily, as the amount of heat that I've had on there, 75 degrees Celsius now, should lift it out pretty easily. Just a matter of cleaning up the glass fragments when I'm done. Now I don't want to rip it too much because there is a few other connectors I believe attached. If we have a look at the original screen, we have two over here, probably one further down as well. And get just underneath it. That will be a good start. Now, being this is a metal bodied phone, it is getting quite toasty in my hands. We still have some form of power, definitely don't want that. Go. So head be careful on the right hand side over here. Now that we can fold it over like a book. Push this out. And there does look to be a gasket there. Go. Still a bit of an attachment over here. Let's clean that up. There we go. And once we're here, we've got the fun task of taking out all these various screws. Turn off my heat pad as I don't believe it's now needed. And when I get in there, I should be able to disconnect the battery as well. Now there's a little bit of tape here. Lift him up. I've got one screw down the bottom over here. There are screws all over this bracket. Granted, probably the vast majority of these I haven't actually needed to undo, but I'm already here, they're already undone. Now, this allows us more screws. Still more screws. Damn this phone. Bingo. And after all that, we are finally in. About time. Now first I want to disconnect the battery, which I'm pretty confident that is the battery. Yes. Next up I want to disconnect one of the connectors, FPC connector. No. There we go, so after a great battle, we're finally in. Do note, the loudspeaker is here, or at least the earpiece speaker, you don't have to be too concerned about that. So from here we should hopefully be mostly done with that part, so I'm going to put that aside for now. Now we'll move this out of the way just temporarily. And what I'm going to do from here is clean up the gasket surround area. Flathead screwdriver, tweezers. Just purely for the fact to make sure there's no glass fragments left there. So some of this may lift up, some of this may not. Here, if your screen lifted out relatively easily, and it didn't actually have any fragments, it was just cracked, then you might be able to get away and skip this stage. Also do check to see if you have any damage to the frame of the phone, as if you're going to put a new screen in, and there's a huge bend to it, then, or a dent in it, you're probably going to break the new screen. Sounds obvious, but it's always worth checking. Go. Yeah, I'll go over it with a toothbrush. Great. Now I do believe this part here just came off here with my brushing. There we go. Next up, put the new screen down. Also, you don't have to worry about the mesh being swapped over, as that is part of the mid-frame. Here. Just debating whether or not to put down the frame adhesive now or after. I think I'll go with after at this point. FPC connectors should just wiggle and click into position. If you do have any issues with the touch at all, do check your FPC or the connectors down here, or the display. Next up is the home button. Similar issue. Wiggle it around in just above it, near it. And then from there you should be able to push it down. We'll get my cuppa to help me. Okay, that's now holding up the display for me. There we go, that's now clicked on. That'll fold over this way. Next up, connect the battery. And next up from there, we bring back our old friend, the mid-frame. It does slide in this part here into the frame. So we'll slide that into here. And then push down. And now here comes the joy of reinstalling all those screws. It would be recommended to test the screen right now prior to putting all these screws in. That's going to make it not very fun to have to undo all those screws if you've put it all back together. You definitely feel like they've gone a bit overboard with all these screws. Most of the black screws, or all of the black screws, do look to be of the same length. Silver screws, potentially the same length, which I'll find out in just a moment. Silver screws are smaller. Luckily for us, there is only 2 of them. Here on out, all the remainder of the screws should be identical. Have 2 more left under this tape that's here. And then I go around the frame with some S7800 frame adhesive. Can also use B7000 or pretty much any other frame adhesive. The only reason I'm really going with the S7800 is the fact that it's already black. So that's why I'm sticking with that. Just so that if it comes out the sides, it doesn't really matter. And I've got plenty of it. Where the B7000, I'm starting to run a bit low. Will be on order from AliExpress. Get some more of that in. It's always good stuff. Considering it's usually used for phones, it's also been getting used for repairs on my kids' toys when they drop something, the ceramic little artworks they've got. So, if your kids, get some B7000. Repair those toys. And lastly here, I do want to put some around this section here. I'll spin the phone so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, I do want that button to stay. Call it a button, but it's more like just a simple fingerprint reader. Let's fold it like a book. Get that into its position. Line it up roughly where it needs to go. So from here it should just be as simple as folding it over like a book. Key word is should. Now if we push down, it is fighting me quite a bit. There we go, now we're starting to stay down. Probably need to put some lacquer bands on this to keep it into position. It is having a fair bit of resistance trying to pop back up. Not quite sure where the resistance is coming from. So I'll put some more adhesive down for the moment. The edging doesn't look like it's actually been touched by the adhesive. I'll put a fair bit more down here. Also down the bottom here, doesn't look to have gotten any on it. So we'll focus a bit more on the edges. Granted, this will probably push it up and out of the edges, but that can always be cleaned up with some isopropyl alcohol. Here we go, lay it back down, attempt number 2. There we go, it's feeling alright. Go, get some lacquer bands on it, and leave it from there and let it cure. So not a very fun job, simple in what steps you have to do, but there are easier phones. Granted, there are more complicated phones, but for challenge, I'd probably give this one about a 4 or 5 out of 10. Something like an iPhone 10, I'd probably give probably about a 2 out of 10 in difficulty, just as a benchmark. There we go. Now I need to give that a quick clean with some isopropyl before that cures too much on there. With some tissue paper. And then later on I'll go around the whole display in the outer frame just to get rid of any excess. And it should be looking alright from there. So yeah, let it cure and it should be right to go. Hope this helps you with your Motorola G5 Plus screen replacement. I'll see you later. Bye.